Hello and welcome to this easy to make spicy tomato sauce. Now, I keep going on about this sauce, how I have it all the time, and I think it's only fair that you get to know why, because it tastes so good. People seem to love the smell of it when they get near it, and they love the taste of it, and I give them a bit, so there you go. Compliments of the chef, I suppose. Now this is just really easy to make, and I've got 6 cans of Italian peel plum tomatoes here. Now I usually have this sauce with rice, and I usually put quite a lot on because it tastes nice and it complements rice pretty well and pasta nicely. So you can put it on pasta. I actually have this most mornings, lunch and tea at the moment. It might sound strange, rice for breakfast, but I love that. So yeah, it's easy to make. I've got about 15 different herbs and spices in here, and I'll show you what I use. Now I've never written down exact quantities for each herb and spice. Now I do that because I think I'm still finding exactly how much I like of each herb and spice, and if I was to have written down straight away how much I wanted from each one, then there might be a sort of formula that actually tastes better. So I'm sort of still tinkering with the formula, but it's still very nice. But I'll weigh them out when I'm doing it. I've got a weighing scale, and it'll show you how many grams. So I'll decant how much I'm going to put, and that'll show you for each herb and spice how many grams I'm putting in. And firstly, I'm going to whiz the tomatoes up with one of these. Just if you haven't got one, they're cheap, just from your local supermarket or whatever. Just a little blade on the end. And I'm going to decant these firstly into this pan. Now I don't know how many litres this pan is, but it's quite big. I would say you need to leave a little bit of room. Always leave a little bit of room at the top, so when you're stirring the sauce or whatever, it's not gonna come flying out. As I've made that mistake of making too much before. So this usually is enough for 6 cans. I usually make this twice a week, so on a Monday and then next time maybe on a Thursday, and that takes me through the week. I say I use quite a lot of sauce on my meal, so you could easily take a can away and make it, or even 2 cans. This is usually for one person. I say I usually probably eat at least as much as 2 people would a week. So for one person this is 6 cans, but I would say this is probably enough for most people. I'm probably making double, probably eating double of what most people. So you could probably get away with 3 cans, to be honest, and you could probably get away with that. But if you want to follow exactly what I'm doing, so that all the quantities of how much herbs and spices I'm putting into the mix, you can follow it exactly. Then just do 6 cans, and then when I finish making it, and I let it cool down, it's good I'll leave it on the hob for a day, and then I'll decant it into a bigger bowl or some plastic containers and put it in the fridge, and it's good there for days. And when I want to come to use it, I just decant a bit, and I just keep doing that until it's all gone. And you don't need to worry about it going off. It's just tomato sauce, sugar, salt, herbs and spices, so it's nothing to worry about. Anyway, I'll get whizzing these, and I'll show you what happens next. Now the whizzer, as I call it, the hand blender, obviously adults and children alike, can be dangerous, so it's always blades down and then turn off at the wall, blah blah blah. So safety first, obviously. So here we are. Just had to get out of the way, obviously. So just, this can be sometimes feeling a bit tight to open. So just pull it like that, and then sometimes the metal lid can come separate, and I just have a bowl here just in case when I open them the lid completely comes off. Now I used to always just pull the metal lid off, but I think they are designed to stay together. I think the only thing is, you know, when you're washing them out before recycling, maybe a little bit of tomato stays on the lid, but I think it's a bit safer because then you don't have to necessarily handle a really sharp lid. So I have to say, yeah, these are sharp lids. When you peel them, it's like a knife, this edge. So yeah, be careful. And I'm sure you've heard this all before, but better safe than sorry, isn't it? Now actually, when I'm whizzing it, blending it, can we call it whizzing it? It doesn't really spit the tomatoes when you start to whiz them. Now there you go. So yeah, there's still a decent gap. I mean, really, you could probably get another can in there, but yeah, we'll keep it with 6 for today. So you want to make sure that you've got it blended smooth. Now, sometimes floaters get left behind. Whole tomatoes get left behind. So you need to make sure that when you're going around and you're whizzing them, that you don't have any lumps still left before you start cooking. And yeah, it's quite loud, so don't do it late at night. And you might think it's a bit dangerous with your white t-shirt on, but as you'll see, it doesn't spit, it'll be fine. As long as you've got the right technique. Now to make sure that you've got all of the tomatoes, I like to just go around dabbing, see if I can feel if there's still any lumps left, and there's still a few. I say this is usually really quick to make, you know, I'm stopping to speak to you, but you know, if you're just making this and you're getting into the routine, it's really quick and easy to make. Now I think, oh, one left. Just go and close the window because it seems to be sawing going on. Apologise for any noise, it seems to be very noisy outside. And noisy in here apparently. Right, just give that a dab to see if there's any more, because we want this to be a smooth sauce. Right, I think we've got it all. So turn off the wall, and then again just to wash it under the tap and be clean quickly. Just a little tip to save your health: remember to wash your hands, because handling chilies and then rubbing your eyes is a no-go. Or salt. So wash your hands and make sure don't touch your eyes and your face when you're cooking. But I'm sure you knew that, but just to reiterate it. I've finished whizzing. Now, the electronic ignition has stopped working on this hob, so I have to use like 15th century technology. So use gas, and then let the fumes go up the spout. So I usually, in terms of how much gas, so at first I have the heat on maybe, I don't know exactly what gas mark, but on the scale I probably start off about at least half power, if that makes sense, so 50% power, or maybe a little bit more, just to get the heating started. And then I have an OCD about I have to get it perfectly aligned so the heat's in the middle underneath the pan. So, that'll do, I think. Yeah, there we go. So one of these nice little, I don't know what you call it, little implements that you have to have, it's so handy, is this little spoon holder. Now I use a wooden spoon that has become stained with the herbs and spices, so I recommend having a wooden spoon only for this, because it's gonna, smells like herbs and spices and it's stained with it now. So whenever I start stirring, I can just put it on there like that. It's really handy, isn't it? So I'll just put that over there for now. So, the herbs and spices. No one's stealing that. So here they are. Can you make them out? And I'll just go through them one by one, and you can't see the scales from where you are, but I'll say how many grams of each that I'm going to put in. So yeah, in no particular order, I just dive in. Now what I'll do is I'll take off the lid for each one, and I'll weigh the lid, and then I'll tell you how much it is once I put it in. So this is, we're starting off with ground cinnamon. So the lid's 6 grams. I'll tell you how many grams it is. So that was about 1.5 grams of cinnamon. Next, I've got some bird's eye chilli. I mean, this might be maybe more personal taste. So I have Kashmiri chilli, but they're not quite as hot, and I like to have a bit of a sweat going on when I've started my meal. So that's about 1.5 grams of bird's eye chilli. Next one, tarragon. So again, about 1.5 grams of tarragon. Next one is basil. I've put about 3 grams of basil in. Now these are all in the jars, they're all dried. I'm not using any fresh herbs and spices. Put that on a bit. This one is ground turmeric. About a gram. That. Next one, ground nutmeg. It's stuck to the bottom, this one. Got a bit stuck at the bottom. It's about 1.5 grams of nutmeg. Ground coriander. I've put about 6 grams, 6 to 7 grams of ground coriander. Some mixed spice. Now my absolute favourite of these at the moment are basil. I like basil, coriander, the bird's eye chilli, ground ginger and paprika. Now they're my favourite at the moment. I'll have a bit of ginger. So the next one is ginger. Just give that a stir. Now I recommend if you've got a hood that can suck up the air, then you turn it on to quite a high, because the aroma of the herbs and spices can really get up your nose, and I mean I almost sneezed already, so oh, I thought I felt that. No, I think we're okay. I thought I missed the tomato there. Put it back in your little spoon holder. Great. So that's about 4 grams of ginger. Garlic, oh yeah, it's also another one of my favourite. This. So that was about 6, and I'm going to add a little bit more. Maybe a little bit more garlic. That's about 10 grams of garlic granules. Now for the paprika. Now I like to add a lot of paprika. That was 7 grams of paprika. Oregano, or oregano, or whatever you want to say. about 3-4 grams of oregano. Now use that one, a bit of parsley. Yep, that was about a gram of parsley. Sort of, I never usually have to weigh them, I usually just put them in by eye. So I'm putting them in here and then I weigh them in first and then it gives me a good idea of how much per gram I'm putting in. I've never weighed them before, so this is new to me as well actually. So a bit of ground cumin. Didn't weigh that in first. I would say be careful with cumin because it can be quite powerful. So that was 3 grams of cumin. I'll give that a stir. Now, in case you missed what I just used, that was basil, ground coriander, mixed spice, bird's eye chili, garlic granules, oregano, whatever you call it, ground ginger, ground nutmeg, paprika, parsley, ground turmeric, tarragon, ground cinnamon, ground cumin. Yeah, that was all of them. Now the chili flakes, that's up to you really. I mean, I like to have it really quite hot. I know some people don't like that, but since I was a child, I've changed my palate a bit. I didn't really like it hot and maybe when it gets sweaty, but now I quite like that, and I've actually got used to that now. Other people are like, so I have to take that into account. And as you can see, my white shirt is still white. And I say I'll keep the heat on quite high, and then just as it starts to bubble, keep stirring it. Excuse me. Keep stirring it, because you don't want to burn it. Now you can tell that it'll need a stir. The bubbles start forming on the top. When you stir it, there'll be like a lump sort of starting to form. So it's not burning, but it's just starting to congeal together. So you don't want that to happen. And after, say, 5 minutes or so, turn the heat not right down, maybe to a third power, 30% power, and just gauge by how many bubbles and froth is forming on the top. Keep stirring it, and there's 1 or 2 more ingredients left to add. I'll show you them. Now here we are, sugar. And I don't think that's going to be enough actually. So I'll just measure how much that is in the jar. So the sugar plus a jar, that's 770, but I'll take it away and you'll see how much I've used. Just get a spoon. Now I like to add a lot of sugar. So that's 3 tablespoons, dessert spoons worth. But I'll tell you how many grams that is. That's 4. Let's see, we can add a little bit more as it's going along, with certain spices or whatnot. If the blend isn't quite right, you can add a little bit, but you can't take anything away. So you have to be careful, because if you add too much, especially coriander, that can make it quite bitter. So you have to be careful. I'll just give it a little bit of a taste and see how sweet that is. Not overpowering, just to make it nice. So much sugar. So that's now, well, how much was that? So original minus that. So that's 90 grams of sugar. So I'll say 80 to 90 grams of sugar. And you might say, oh, that's a crazy amount of sugar. Well, it adds to the overall taste, and it's really nice, honestly. Complements, the nutmeg and the cinnamon really well. The overall, the individual flavours of each of the herbs and spices, they come together to create something sort of greater than themselves, if that makes sense, individually. So I'm just, we've got a floater, can't believe it, look at that. We missed one, didn't we? It'll be a nice surprise. So I'd say just let that cook 5 minutes, just make sure that it doesn't burn, and then just give it a taste, and you can add certain herbs or certain spices just to, if you think it's not quite right, then just adjust it to your taste. But as I say, you need to be careful, because too much, especially coriander, I think makes it quite bitter. And you need to find that balance. Now just a little bit of pepper. I like to add a little bit of pepper. Now I'm not going to tell you how much I add, because again, this is, I think, personal preference. Some people might not like any at all. I probably add about a gram's worth. And then, just make sure I've got everything. Just a bit of salt, probably a few grams, but I'll show you that. Bit of ground sea salt. So I would say, again, this is probably personal preference really with salt. I would say probably I add maybe a few grams. Again, it's just personal preference really, I think, with these sorts of, with those, pepper and salt. And there you have it. That's the basis of what my sauce is. My spicy tomato sauce. You can add other things in if you want. I used to add a bit of soy sauce, but I find that the salt just by itself, the soy sauce is really salty. I find just adding a bit of sea salt nice. So I'll let this cook for another 10 minutes or so. It depends, the cooking time might be a little bit less, a little bit more. Just when you gauge that the herbs and spices are really starting to, when you cook, the flavour can actually change during the cook, and you're not boiling it, you're cooking it. So if it starts really bubbling and frothing, you need to turn the power down. And then if it's not bubbling or frothing at all, then turn the power a bit up. The more you make this, the more you'll work out what ratio of herbs and spices you want, how long it takes to cook. You'll make sure that you don't miss any of the tomatoes when you're whizzing. Now it might seem a bit expensive maybe, all these herbs and spices and tomatoes and whatnot, but this makes up a staple of what I eat every day. So I use this with rice most of the time, and I made another video on the channel talking about how much I spend a week on shopping, and I really don't spend that much a week, less than £30. And I said probably for most people, because I do a lot of exercise, for most people it's probably less than £25 a week for one person to eat healthy as well. It's not unhealthy. Just because it's not expensive doesn't mean that it's not healthy. So this will be with rice most days, for breakfast, lunch and tea. And for me, I just love this type of flavour. It goes well with me in the morning now. I mean, with rice, especially, I don't ever get in the morning like bloating or anything later in the day. It just feels really easy on my digestive system. Also, if I'm not having it in the morning, substitute it out with fruit, and then I can have this for lunch. So it's really easy to make. You can take it with you to work. We have it cold with just cold pasta. It's still really nice. If you're wondering what you can have at work, for example, if there's no way to heat something up, this with pasta cold is nice. It's really nice because it's still got heat from the taste. It's still got taste, flavour, and then just same for tea. And this is sort of forms the basis of what I have every day, as a staple, as we call it, and supplement it with fruit. And it's what powers me every day, keeps me healthy, and saves me money. Could save you money. So I'll just let this cook, keep stirring it, and again it'll be up to you when you decide to turn it off. I like to give it a decent amount of time to let the herbs and spices with the flavour really come out when you're cooking it. And then just leave it to cool, and I'll have it now with maybe my lunch, and let it cool, and then you can decant it and leave it in the fridge, and then take how much you want every time. For me, a lot. So if this helped and you now enjoy the spicy tomato sauce, then like the video and subscribe, and I'll have more coming with sports, nutrition, just general life advice, what I've learned, the mistakes I've learned from myself and other people. This is really the secret to the Life Bites Banana spice. This is the spice part. So hopefully I'll see you in the next one, and if not the next one, the one after that. Thank you for your time.